Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're all well and you had a good night. You look forward to today's session. I'm happy to be here with you today. With me, I have Judith. Thank you so much, Judith. Judith has already said hi to you in the chat section. So you're going to meet Judith in the chat section. You can see, I think you've met her before from the previous sessions. So her name is highlighted in blue with a blue spanner next to her name. Feel free to say hi to her. And even before we begin, I'm not going to start right now. So I'll just give a few minutes to have more and more people join us before now we get into the content of the day. So I know we have had this training since last year, December. Hi, Cece. Glad to have you here. I know we have had this training since last year, December, and I hope um, you've had a good experience. You've learned. You find that the sessions have been impactful, and most importantly, that you have actually tried to put everything into practice. Okay. Remember, this is not just theory. You're looking at you implementing or rather executing what you've learned. And then if you have encountered any challenges in between, please feel free to always reach out and tell us, if you wanted to, if you got started with creating your own Google business profile and you had a challenge or you tried coming up with your own digital marketing strategy and you feel like maybe you need some bit of help, please feel free to just reach out to us. We're available to support you all through the journey. Okay. So, Cece, how is your morning? How is your night? How is your week starting? Okay. So, if you're just joining us, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat section and tell us where you're joining us from. You can also tell us the name of your business, what your business does, right? And then obviously how your day was. So, thank you so much, Judith. With me, I also have my other colleague, Sandra. You can see her. She's at the back end, basically ensuring that the session goes on well. So you can also say hi to Sandra even if you're not seeing her, but she's here with us. And to introduce myself, my name is Berry Lokwat. I work with Impact as a trainer, and I will be taking you through today's session, right? Before we start, you can always click the share button. Please feel free to click the share button and share with your colleagues on WhatsApp in the different groups that you're in. Remind them that the session is just starting and they can join at any one point. So this is the 7th session. The digital skills training had 8 topics. This is our 7th session. When we started, we looked at, that was in last year, December, we looked at how do you build your brand on the online space? How do you sell online? All right. And then we also looked at how do you create your own digital marketing plan? So basically, what is digital marketing? Because you can't talk about building your own plan if you don't understand what digital marketing is, right? So what is digital marketing? We looked at the different components of digital marketing, that is the different channels. And I hope we all remember that. So we talked about SEO, SEM, that is search engine optimization, search engine marketing, social media marketing, content marketing, email marketing, and display advertising. So we talked about those as the different channels of digital marketing. That was again in last year. And then this year, our focus has been on the different marketing tools and social media. How do you leverage on social media? Grow your sales, all right? How do you create your own Google business profile? How do you optimize it? How do you populate it? All right. At the end of the day, to ensure that you improve your ranking, to ensure that you enhance your presence on search and maps, right? And then we also looked at the power of data and insights, looking at the insights from the different platforms to learn about your audience, to learn about the performance of your content, to learn about the performance of your page, all right, and whether you're achieving your online objectives, right? Then in the last class, that was last week, our focus was on creating your own digital marketing strategy. And we even looked at a case study. I'm not sure if you remember, we talked about Mondly, the hairdresser. So we even looked at a case study and how you can apply, creating your own strategy. How applicable is that? All right. So that was our, that's just a recap of what we've learned so far. And our focus today now goes to workspace, how you can increase or rather improve communication and collaboration within your colleagues, within your employees, within your clients, right? That will be our focus for the day. So Sisi says, Sisi is well. Her business name is Sisi Aladea Enterprises. So Sisi, what does Sisi Aladea Enterprises deal with? What do you deal with? Never know, I might be your potential customer. So if you're a product business, if you're product based, what kind of products are you dealing with? If you're in the service industry, what kind of services are you offering? Feel free to elaborate that in the chat section. We're already 5 minutes in, and I think it's time for us to get into the content. Remember to share and remind other people to join the session. Yeah, basically that. So this session will be divided into 3 agendas, right? The first agenda we're going to look at is what is Google Workspace, right? It's very important to understand the concept around it before you even get to how you leverage on it, how you manipulate it. It's very important to understand the concept because it gives you a base, right? So we discover what Google Workspace is. How do you look at the different tools of Workspace? Either if you want to improve your communication or improve how different team members work together. So that's on collaboration, right? That will be our focus for today's class. And before we even move to the content of the days, we've spoken about this every single time in the trainings. We have the Google Hustle Academy. It's a 1 week long bootcamp that we offer in partnership with Google. So it runs from, like, just an example, like Monday to Friday. It's a full day bootcamp. Okay. And you get to learn lots of things. You get to understand effective financial planning for your business, maybe you're in the ideation stage, all right? So it's not just limited to businesses that have already been set up. Maybe you're in the ideation stage, or maybe you're already set up and you want to scale. What are the different funding options available for you? Okay. Because I think most of us basically just know, oh, maybe I can borrow money from my friends, maybe I can go to the bank, all right? So there are other various funding options available. What are these funding options? You get to be taught on that. How do you even get started with each? We look at you pitching to potential investors. How do you even start a pitch? What do you include in your pitching deck, right? You get into digital marketing, the practical bits of it, and then improving your revenue as a business. So all these are covered. It's like an entrepreneurial training. They're covered. And then you also get to attend sessions with keynote speakers. So people who are already well established in the entrepreneurship industry, and they give you a word of advice, which I'm sure will be very beneficial to you. Remember to sign up for the Google Hustle Academy. Judith will share the link in the chat section. Judith will share the link to the Google Hustle Academy in the chat section. Make sure you sign up. So I really like my sessions to be very, very interactive. Remember, we are here to learn from each other. Okay. So as much as I will be taking questions from you, I will also be asking you questions, right? I don't have a business personally. So obviously, if it's matters business, um, obviously I will learn. I'm here to learn from you also. Okay. So feel free to drop your comments, your responses, your questions in the chat section. And my first question to you is, what tools do you currently use to communicate and collaborate within your business? How do you talk to your clients? How do you talk to your employees? What tools are you using? So I'm coming back to the chat section just to take, or rather see your responses, read your responses. Feel free to drop your comments. And you can also keep Judith busy in the chat section. Make sure you ask her as many questions. She likes that, and I'm sure it will really interest her. So really challenge her in the chat section by dropping questions, dropping comments, dropping responses, dropping inquiries. So my first question, which tools do you use to communicate within your business? How do you talk to your clients? How do you talk to your employees? If you have any employees, how do you talk to your suppliers? How do you talk to your vendors? How do you go about that? So let me see those comments in the chat section. CC, I'm calling out the people who have already commented. Can only see CC. So any response to my question? So I'll give you an example. I know most of us already use WhatsApp. Okay, so we always say WhatsApp, and Cici has said WhatsApp and telephone. Yes, thank you so much, Cici. Yeah, I think most of us use WhatsApp. It's very convenient and very fast. So if you're looking at getting, instant replies, WhatsApp is usually the go-to platform for that. And then there's obviously calls if you want more elaborate discussions. All right. So thank you so much, Cici, for that. We will wait for other responses, but as we do that, I'll just move on. I will come back to look at them as we move along. So remember when you say the agenda for the day, our first focus is discovering Google Workspace across our business. What is Google Workspace, right? And before we even look at the definition of what Google Workspace is, do you know, before I get to tell you, do you know what Google Workspace is? And do you currently use it? How do you use it? If you also don't know what Google Workspace is, feel free to say, you know what, Beryl, I don't know what Google Workspace is, but I'm open to learning, obviously, right? So you can tell me if you don't know what Google Workspace is, feel free to tell me, I don't know what Google Workspace is, right? But I'm here to learn. If you know what Google Workspace is, what is it? You can tell me what Google Workspace is. If you're using any tool on Google Workspace, and how are you using those tools? I'm just trying to get an understanding of where we are. Oh wow, Cece also says she communicates to her clients via Instagram. So that's good. I'm really happy that you're looking at the different platforms and leveraging the different platforms to communicate. All right. And then Cece says, I don't know what Google Workspace is. That's fine. That's why we're here, right? We're here to learn. I see more people joining us. So if you're just joining us, please introduce yourself. Let us know that you're here. Tell us where you're joining us from. Let us all get acquainted with each other. Okay. So Cece says she does not know what Google Workspace is. And I'll give you a definition of what Google Workspace is. It's basically a collection of cloud computing tools, right? That help you to increase your productivity within your business or either increase your communication and collaboration, right? That is what Google Workspace is, a collection of cloud computing tools that help you to either increase your productivity and communication or collaboration within your business. All right. That is what Google Workspace is. If previously you knew what G Suite was, it was previously known as G Suite. They just changed the name to Google Workspace. So it's one and the same thing. So when I say it's a collection of cloud computing tools, there are very many tools that make up the Google Workspace. And this takes us to our next slide. So these are some of the tools, or rather all of the tools that make up the Google Workspace. So which tools do you identify? From the icons on the screen, which ones do you identify? From the icons on the screen, which tool do you think you identify? I'll name the first one because it's the easiest. This Gmail. The first icon obviously is Gmail. So I want to go to my email, right? So which other icons do you recognize from the ones displayed in the screen on the screen? Which icons do you recognize? Judith, you can also give me a response to one of the icons you recognize. Which icon do you recognize from the ones showcased on your screen? I've talked about the first one. I've said it's Gmail, right? Where my pointer is. I don't know if you can see my pointer. So which other icons do you recognize? Google Drive. Which other one? Which other one? Let me see. Judith says Google Slide. Yes. Obviously, you know Google Slide because you're also a trainer and you interact with Slide a lot, Judith. Okay. Jamboard. Keep. Thank you so much, Sandra. Sandra can see Keep. Which other one? Which other one? Cece, you only recognize Google Drive. Which other one do you recognize? Aha, Sandra also sees Google Chat, right? And these ones that you're mentioning, are you also using them? Are you also using these tools? Google Doc. Then CC says calendar. All right. So thank you so much for those responses. They're very encouraging. Meet. Yes, of course, you use Meet a lot for meetings. Yes, and current too. Nice. And you're going to look at how each tool can be used either to improve. Remember, we said the three agendas: discovering workspace, looking at the different tools you can use for communication and which ones you can use for collaboration. So we are going to use at we are going to look at the functionalities of most of them and how you can leverage on either, right? So if we look at workspace, technically, let's go back to the description of what workspace is. We said workspace is a collection of cloud computing tools that helps you to either increase productivity within your business, improve communication or collaboration. So that obviously gives you, so, I mean, it gives you a synopsis of what functions the Google Workspace is. So the first one, you're able to communicate. That's on point 4. All right. So you're able to communicate globally. You're not just limited to people who are around you, right? Then you're also able to brainstorm on ideas, manage projects, and store files. Remember, we said it helps you to improve productivity. So how do you improve productivity? You're able to brainstorm on ideas. I can work with my colleagues on, maybe I'm looking at getting into a new market and I need input from the different people I'm working with, my colleagues, all right? So we can have a brainstorming session, and we'll even look at the tools that you can use for brainstorming. You're able to manage projects. So Google Workspace is a project management tool. It's actually one of the basic project management tools that you can use. All right. And then you're also able to store files. We've talked about Drive. All right. You're able to record, analyze, and present data. So I can do a survey. I know most of us have interacted with Google Survey, the Google Forms. So you can run a survey. I can record the responses. I can analyze, and then if I'm doing a presentation, I can always present that. All right. And then you're also able to create documents and presentations. If you want to present, I know most of us are usually just savvy with Microsoft Office. So we know PowerPoint, we know Google Word, I mean, the Word document, we know Google Excel, but that's a Microsoft package. So there's also a the Google package, right? It's more or less, probably has more or less the same features as the MS Office suite, all right? But it's different. This is for Google, right? You're also able to create documents and presentations, right? So those are just overall the core functionalities of Google Workspace. I've talked about being able to create documents and presentations. I can use Google Docs to create presentations, right? I can use Google Slides. If you want to get a better understanding of what this is, if you have not interacted with them before and you only know the MS Suite. So Word is like Google Docs and Google Slides is like Microsoft PowerPoint. All right. So just to give you a context of each so that you know what it's about. So there's Google Docs and then Google Slides. If I'm looking at creating documents and presentations, and then I want to record my data, I want to collect information, all right, and then use that information to probably make business decision, maybe if it's in regards to marketing. So I can decide to send out a survey to my clients. Maybe I have my clients' emails. I can decide to send out a survey to my clients to figure out, maybe try and collect information. Probably I rolled a new product into the market. What is their take, all right, on the new product? What do they think about it? Is I can do to improve? What about my customer service? Can they rate my customer service? Okay, so this kind of information will help me to make decisions that will benefit my business. All right, so I can record their responses, all right, and then analyze. So 50% of people said the product is fine. 30% said you can improve on this and this. 20% went and details on what kind of modifications I can have on the product. So I can analyze the data, I can group them, and I can do a presentation. If I'm doing a presentation to the product team, right? I can tell them, you roll this out, and this is the feedback, right, from the reception we've gotten off, from our clients, right? So I'm able to present that data, right? And then I can record and analyze my data on Google Sheets as well. So Google Sheets is like Microsoft Excel, all right? I can record my data there. If it's my financials, I can look at my financials maybe from January to December. You can input formulas, all right, and it will automatically compute figures for you. Okay. So these two tools are some of the tools that you can use, on Google Workspace to either record, analyze, and present data. So some of the benefits, and this takes us back. Remember the definition we gave for Google Workspace. It basically gives us an overall view of the functionalities and the benefits, right? So if you're looking at the benefits, there are tools you can use for communication. Obviously, you get to enhance communication within your business. There are tools you can use for collaboration. So obviously, you get to increase collaboration within your business. We talked about Google Workspace being a project management tool, all right? So when you increase collaboration within team members, okay, and you're able to track how projects are done within your business, you're able to sit down with different people from different departments to brainstorm on ideas. That's obviously smarter working, all right? Because you have redefined not having to meet up to actually make things done. All right. So there's smarter working, and then there's enhanced security. Remember, we said cloud computing tools. So all these tools are in the cloud, they're online. All right. It's not like MS Office where I have to be maybe on my laptop. If I create a document, I send to Sandra as an attachment. Maybe we are working on a document with Sandra. So I send to Sandra as an attachment. She adds her details, sends it back to me on email. It's a lot of back and forth. Okay. So with Workspace, all these documents are in the cloud. So obviously there's enhanced security because unless someone has access to my email, they're not able to access those files, those documents. All right. And we're also able to look, we will get deeper into looking at the security features of Google Workspace. Okay. So we've looked at increased collaboration. I'm able to track changes. All right. So let me give you an example in terms of collaborating. Okay. So I doing a presentation to my board members. I have a board meeting next week. Okay. So I need to present maybe my marketing presentation for the whole of last year. All right. Because there was a budget that I was working with. So I have to give a presentation on how I spent the marketing budget, what kind of marketing campaigns went out, what was the ROI. Okay. So I can decide to create a presentation. And then I decide, so assuming Judith is in the finance department, so Judith handles the funds. So I tell Judith, this is the budget that I had given you initially before you gave me the money, and this is the expenditure. Can you look at this part for me and tell me if there are any anomalies? All right. So I give Judith access to my document. Okay. So she has access to my document. And if she makes any change, I'm able to track. So she tells me this number is wrong, edit this, or she makes the change herself. I'm able to see that, right? So you can work with, and it's real time. Okay, there's no back and forth where I'm sending on email, she's sending back. It's all live. So she makes the change, I can see the change she's making. All right. If she has a comment on maybe the design on my slide looks bad, she can comment there, Beryl, please amend this design. It doesn't look nice. All right. So you can comment, you can share your documents, you can track changes for any change that's made on a document. You're able to see the change and you're able to know who made that change. All right. So that's on increased collaboration. And then if you're looking at improved communication, so when COVID came, it basically redefined in-person meetings. So more and more organization embraced, having virtual meetings, all right, because we had a lot of restrictions and lockdowns. So more organizations embraced virtual meetings, and it basically serves the same purpose, all right. So there's Google Meet. and it's a video conferencing tool. You can share presentations, and then you can turn your video on. So there's also the ability to check nonverbal cues, which are very important in communication. All right. Then there's Gmail. If you're looking at sending out official communications, Gmail is the right tool for that. And then there's Google Currents. So if you interacted with Google Plus before, there was Google Plus before when we were looking at G Suite. Before G Suite changed their name to Workspace, there was Google Plus. So Google Plus is technically Google Currents. All right. So you can use Google Currents for group communications. If you want to brainstorm with your team members, Google Currents is the right tool for that. And then there's Google Chat. If you're looking at instant feedback, all right? So it's not like email. So with Google Chat, I can send maybe instruction to CC and she can respond to me immediately. I can create groups the same as in WhatsApp groups. So I can create groups on Google Chat to help with basically communicating with a large number of people. All right. And then on working smarter, all right, on working smarter, remember we talked about when we looked at collaboration, I'm able to share my document with different people, all right? So it reduces a lot of back and forth, all right? With working smarter, I'm also able, and we look at this, I'm also able to brainstorm with my peers, my colleagues, all right? I'm able to store my files online. Remember, all these are in the cloud, so I'm able to store my files online. So assuming I'm on my laptop and I have a folder in my drive for financial, right? And maybe I'm on leave. So assuming I'm on leave, but I'm logged into my email on my phone and someone texts me, maybe Judith texts me and says, Beryl, please, can I have access to this? All right. I can't tell her, oh no, I'm not on my laptop. I can't do it. All right. I can just go to my phone because I have accessed my email on my phone and still share with her the file that she needs from my drive. All right. So that's basically smarter working. You're not limited to your desk. Do you understand? You're not limited to being in one place. And then in regards to smarter working, if you're looking at, the security bit of it, I think this will take us to the security bit of it. So the one who has rights to the admin console on Google Workspace basically manages all the users. Okay. So I have like 10 employees. I gave them business emails, all right? So, and then 5 of them left the organization. I can go to the admin console and change the passwords to those emails. So, since they are no longer employees, they cannot access the work emails because there's the privacy and the confidentiality bit of businesses, all right? So, that's on security, all right? And then I can, assuming I'm also getting new people on board, I give them their emails and I tell them, you know what, this is the password that you're going to use. So please don't change this password unless you maybe confirm with your line manager. Okay. They're also able to track what people are doing. All right. The kind of emails that they are sending. All right. So that's on securely storing files. And I talked about being able to store your data on Google Drive as well and limiting access to the people who have access to those folders in your drive. All right. So that's on enhanced security. I really hope we have been on the same page so far. If you have any questions, I hope you've dropped your questions in the chat section. Thank you. I hope you've dropped your questions in the chat section. I will come back. I'll take a pause shortly to look at your questions and respond to them, right? So how do you get started with creating your own Google Workspace account? I think the most important thing you need to understand is you need to have a domain name, right? So when you talk about the domain name, and we talked about this in the third class, using marketing tools and social media to grow your business. Where do you get your domains? You can go to Domain King, or where do you register your domains? You can go to Domain King, you can go to GoDaddy. Okay, it's very important. So the first step first, the link to Workspace will be shared with you in the chat section. Go to workspace.google.com to sign up. All right, this is how you get started. But remember, the Google Workspace is not free. I'm not very sure about the amount. So you pay an annual fee. Okay. I'm not sure what the amount is. I'll just confirm shortly. So you'll go to Workspace. There's an annual fee, but it's very affordable. All right. So you go to Workspace. What is your business name? So Cici said her business name is Cici Aladaya Enterprises, right? Input your business name. What are your contact details? All right. So remember, you have to be, when you're creating this account, you have to be sure that I'm the right person to have access to my admin console. All right. You don't want to have another person create the account for you, input their contact details, and then when you lose contact, basically you can't access your workspace. I mean, you can't access your workspace account. Okay. So make sure that I'm the business owner. I want to have the rights to admin console, or I have this permanent employee. I'm comfortable with this person having access to the admin console, right? So you put your business name, what are your contact details, then you put your domain, because this is the one that will determine the kind of emails that you're going to get. So input your domain. It's ccaladeaenterprises.ng or .org, all right? Then update your business address and set up your login details. It's not very complicated. So once you click on that link, you'll see that it's step by step. It gives you prompts to the next step. Okay, so it's actually easy to follow through, right? And then when you once you create an account, a workspace account, you can create your business email. All right. It helps with even clients seeing how legit your business is, right? So it's not just ccaladaenterprises@gmail.com. No, it's like cc@ccaladaenterprises.org, all right, or .co.ng, depends on the domain that you had for yourself. So you can create your business email, and then CC gets 3 more employees in her business. She can create emails for them. And then the benefit of this is, maybe you feel that I had a Yahoo email before, I had a YMail email before, and I feel like there's so much data in those emails, there's so much information, I don't want to lose that information. You can always migrate your data and import files from your previous emails, so you're not losing any data. Do you understand? So I'll be taking questions up to this point. Let me just see if there are any questions that I have missed so far. CC, I hope you're all on the same page. Hi. If there's anyone else who has just joined us, feel free to introduce yourself. If you feel like you have some questions, you can also drop that in the chat section. So any questions up to this point before we move on to the different tools you can use for communication? Any questions so far? Any questions? If there are no questions, you can also say, I don't have a question. Let's move on to the second part of the class. Any questions so far? Any question? I am sure I have not missed any questions so far. Just looking at the comment section. Right? All right. So no question, please indicate no question. If there's any other question, I'll come back and look at it after. I'll be coming back to look at the questions as we move along. I don't want to miss any question. I would like us to be on the same page throughout the class. All right. So let's look at how you can use. Remember the icons I showcased on the screen that make up Workspace. So let's look at the tools that you can use for the communication functionality. All right. Let's look at the tools that you can use for communication. So far, which tools can you use via Workspace to boost communication? Which tools can you use via Workspace to boost communication? I've actually mentioned this in a slide when we were looking at the first agenda. I talked about the different tools that you can use for communication. So which tools can you use for communication? Which tools can you use for communication? CC, I wish I knew the names of the people. I can see people in the class and they're very quiet. If you don't have a response, you can just drop an emoji so that we know you're following the class. Which tools can you use for communication? Which tools on Google Workspace can you use to communicate? either to your colleagues, to your vendors, suppliers, or to your clients. Which tools can we use for communication? No tools, which tools? I would like to tell you a response, but I will not give you an answer until I see your responses. I will not give you an answer until I see your responses. Which tools can you use for communication? Okay, so I'll come back to look at your responses. Feel free to drop your comments. Remember, I said I really like my sessions to be really interactive. And I have Faye Sarah, Kevin Israel, who has joined us. You've been here for some time. Nice. Thank you so much for letting us know that you've been here. Okay. So do you have any question, any comment so far? You can always drop that in the chat section. We're happy to have you in today's class. And I hope you're finding the session impactful so far. So I talked about this there's a slide I mentioned the different tools that you can use for communication when you're looking at the first agenda. Okay. So there's Gmail if you're looking at official communication. There's Google Meet if you're looking at having meetings. And the best thing with Google Meet, I said you can share presentations. It's a video conferencing tool. You can turn on your camera, all right? And then there's Google Currents that you can use for group communications, right? And I said Google Currents was previously known as Google Plus, all right? And then there's Google Chat that you can use if you're looking at getting instant feedback, right? So Gmail, I think I've talked about this, but I will still reiterate on that, right? So you need to send official emails. With Gmail, you can share attachments for documents that are in your computer or documents that are in your drive, all right? So you're able to share attachments and it helps you to keep track of official communication. Assuming I made, maybe I requested for new products from one of my suppliers, right? So sometimes you might find that maybe you'll request for, let's give an example. So maybe I requested for shea butter, all right? And then along the way, so I needed my supplier to provide me with maybe 30 pieces of shea butter for 200 grams, okay? Then I decide, you know what? I'm looking at my target audience and I mean, I feel like if I bring in maybe chebe butter, it's something that they would also like. All right. So I send an email out again to my supplier and I say, please add 50, 200 grams of chebe butter. All right. So at the end of the month, maybe my supplier just delivers the, the shea butter, right? And then the supplier says, oh, you know what? You only requested for shea butter. There was no order for shea butter. I can always go back to my email trail, all right? And I can tell them, please refer to this email where I made a request for this and this and this and this, okay? So it helps you to keep track of communication. If you made payments, you can send receipts for that. If you're sending out invoices, you're sending out quotations, all right? You can always send that as attachment. It helps you to keep track of all of official communications, right? And then there's Google Meet, where I'm able to share presentations. Remember when we started, I talked about having a board meeting, okay? So I can share my presentation, and then I have my video on, all right? They can see my nonverbal cues. They can see where I'm stressing on my, I mean, during my presentation, all right? And then there's Google Currents. If you're looking at having conversations, group conversations, you want to engage more with your employees, there's Google Currents that you can always use for that. And then there's Google Chat, where you get to communicate with people in your business, people in your organization, get instant feedback. You can create groups on Google Chat. The same way you have WhatsApp groups, you can create groups on Google Chat, maybe finance team, training team. Okay. So it helps with improving the communication within your business. And then let's go back to the emails again. So you can also create group emails. All right. If in the finance team you have like 5 team members, and every time you want to send out an email, you're always copying the emails one by one. So you're copying CC, you're copying Judith, you're copying Sandra, Sometimes you might forget to copy Sandra in the email, all right? And then they might feel left out. So what you need, you can create a group email for the finance team where all the emails are included. So anytime I have information to the everyone in the finance team, I can always just copy that group email. All right. So those are some of the functionalities that you can use for that. And when you want to increase your communication, obviously you get to recreate in-person communication because you don't have to meet with these people face to face in person to, communicate. You're able to stay organized. You can create team mailing lists. I've just talked about that right now. And then setting up project or team rooms. I've talked about this when I said you can create groups on Google Chat. All right. So when we're looking at creating in-person communication, the first thing, and I'll give you an example for like at Impact Hub. So we normally have a general meeting every Monday. So that is for the whole staff at Impacta. And then there's the different departmental meetings that happen afterwards. So as a team leader or a team member, you're able to keep track of the productivity of your team members. So you're able to know this person worked on this last week, right? So we are having a meeting. They talked about this is what I did this week, last week, and my to-do list for this week encompasses of this and this. These are the challenges that I'm experiencing, and I need some bit of help on this. And everyone is there on the call. You brainstorm together, and then you tell them, you know what, I feel like this challenge you're experiencing, you can do this and this and this to ensure that you don't feel the weight of that challenge. Okay. So you're able to schedule regular team calls. You can check in with your team members. You can connect with the employees. For example, I'm based in Kenya. Judith is in Benin. Sandra is in Nigeria. And we are still able to work together seamlessly towards achieving our departmental goals, towards achieving Impact has goals. All right. And then you're able to brainstorm an ideas. So there's a tool called Jamboard, and we'll look at that later on in the session that you can use for brainstorming. All right. And I'll also give you an example on maybe we have a Google Meet call and we can still brainstorm on the call. All right. And I'm not limited to joining these calls or to communicating to my team members just on my laptop, right? So long as I can access my email on my phone, I can still do it while I'm on the go, right? And if you're looking at staying organized, we have the calendar, right? So assuming I have maybe meetings with my suppliers, meetings with my team members, meetings with the board, I can always mark that on my calendar. If there's an important task that I don't want to forget, I can always add that to my calendar. So there's no point where I'm going to forget, oh no, I forgot about that meeting, right? Because you get alerts. 30 minutes to your meeting, you get an alert. Meeting with the board, meeting with the this and this vendor, all right? So I'm able to keep track of my meetings. Remember, you can add events and tasks. So I'm able to keep track of everything I do in a day. So most of us, we just write down our to-do list, maybe on your notebooks. You can actually go further and indicate your to-do list on your calendar. And then if probably you have someone else who wants to have a meeting with you, they can access your calendar and they can see Beryl has a meeting at 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. So I can't set up a meeting with her at this point. So I can look at a gap on Beryl's calendar and include my meeting there. Do you understand? So you're able to stay organized with the Google Calendar. I've talked about the team mailing list when I said I gave an example of the finance team mailing list. All right. So you can create a group email list. I'm able to send updates to that email list, share resources. I can upload them on the drive, give them access to the folders, right? Or I can share them as attachments in the emails. All right. And this helps to increase visibility and foster community. Remember, we did not forget anyone in our group mailing list. Every email is included in that group email. All right. And then setting up project rooms, I talked about being able to create groups on Google Chat where you're able to talk to your team members all at once. All right. It even reduces the amount of energy and effort you put into maybe it's one communication. So I'm not just sending one communication to Judith, to Sandra, separately. All right. So I can just have them in one group. It helps to improve my communication. Do you understand? So any question again up to that point? Any question again up to that point? Please, how can I make the screen sharp? All right, Judith has shared on how you can increase the resolution on your screen to make it a bit clearer. All right, and then Cici Aladea asks clouds. So cloud is like, what can I, you see the way you have, what do I say? So cloud, you get to store your data on the cloud. So it's online. Like, I'm trying to understand, get how I can explain to you cloud storage. So it is online. So long as you're online, you can access your documents anywhere. You know, it's not just on your desktop. Do you understand? It's not on your desktop. It's in the cloud storage. It's, I want to say it's hanging somewhere here, like the way the clouds normally hang, but that's not the point. So it's they're stored online, right? It's an online storage. Do you understand? Online storage. So you can access that so long as you are online. Do you understand? I hope that makes it a bit clearer. I don't know if I've explained that quite nicely, but you can let me know if that made you understand it a bit. And then Kevin says no questions so far. Thank you so much, Kevin. And just to remind Judith, so Judith will share the attendance form at this point. Please remember to fill in the attendance form and fill it with your correct name as you would like for it to appear in your certificate. All right? So Judith will share the attendance form. Cici, you can also just confirm with me because I really hope that you've understood how I've explained cloud storage. It's basically online storage if I'm going to use layman's language. So you can just let me know if you know you've understood that at least. All right. Okay. So Sarah says no question. Cici, if you have any other question, you can also just let me know in the chat section. We are going to move on to the last part of the class, which is focused on collaboration. So we've looked at what workspace is, what are the functionalities of workspace, what makes us work, what makes up workspace, all right, and the benefits of Google Workspace. And then now we've looked at the tools you can use for communication. We've talked about your Gmail, we've talked about GChat, we've talked about Google Currents, and then we've also mentioned Google Meet. So now which tools can you use to collaborate, to ensure that different people are working together towards a common goal, right? So which tools can you use for collaboration, right, within your business? That's the focus for the last agenda of the class, all right? So leveraging on the different tools to increase collaboration, all right? Just confirming that I haven't missed any question. All right, so that's fine. Let's move on now to the last part of the class, leveraging on the different tools to increase collaboration. We've talked about the tools for communication. Now, which tools do you think you can use on Google Workspace to increase collaboration? Which tools can you use to increase collaboration within your business? Which tools can you use to increase collaboration within your business? Which tools do you think you can use to increase collaboration within your business? I'll give an example. I can say Google Slides. So remember when we were looking at the functionalities, we said you can create documents, right? And we said Google Docs, and we said Google Slides. You can use those two to create documents, all right? And you can collaborate on with someone else on that document. I can collaborate with Judith. I can collaborate with Cici to work on one document together, track the changes that are made on that document, all right? Share ideas, share comments on one document. All right. So that's just an example, and we're going to look at this deeper in this session, right? So which tools do you think you can use, or do you know you can use to increase collaboration within your business? Any comment, any response? We're all very quiet. I don't know what silence means. Remember, we've just talked about communication, and communication is not one way. Communication is two way. You share, then you receive feedback. All right? You share ideas, share comments, share information, and you receive feedback. Thank you so much, Cece, for that. So yeah, I'm really happy that you've understood that. All right. Now, which tool do you think you can use to increase collaboration? Which tool do you think you can use to increase collaboration within your business? Cece. Cece, Kevin, who else is here? There are people who are here and have not introduced themselves. Because I have Judith and then I have Sandra. All right. So as you're dropping your comments, I will come back to look at them. I mean, if you also don't know the tools you can use for collaboration, there's no wrong or right answer here. Right? I'm not here to mark. It's not an exam where I'm marking and I'm giving you a tick and an X. No, we are all here to learn. Any answer goes. Right? Okay, so I'll come back to look at the responses. Meanwhile, let's look at how you can collaborate across. I mean, if you have different projects that you're working on, if you have different teams within your business and your organizations, so how do you get to collaborate? First, you're able to brainstorm ideas. Remember, it's very important to take input from different people because it gives you perspectives on a project. Do you understand? It gives you different perspectives that you might not have seen on your own. All right. So it's very important to brainstorm. So there's that. And then you're able to share working files. And I think I've just talked about this right now when I mentioned the PowerPoint presentation and working on a good document together with my team members. I'm able to make suggestions and tag colleagues on my document. All right. I can I can tag Judith, right, and tell Judith, please look at these numbers for me. All right. I can make suggestions. Beryl, this slide looks bad. Do you think you can change the graphics for that? Right? And then I make that change and mark it as resolved. So someone else can come in and see this was the suggestion that was made and it was resolved, okay, by Beryl. So you're able to track changes. So when we're looking at brainstorming, there's a tool called Jamboard that you can actually use to brainstorm. So you know when you go to the, I mean, in your offices and you have a brainstorming session, so there's this, you usually go to a room and then there's the whiteboard that you have and the whiteboard marker, and you're always taking notes when people are brainstorming. All right. So this is just more or less the same thing, but it's a virtual whiteboard. All right. It's a virtual whiteboard. All right. You're able to brainstorm together with the different people, maybe in your project team, towards coming up with an idea. So, assuming I want to have a brainstorming session in the evening with maybe my team members, right? I can just go to my Jamboard and say I'm talking to, I have a group chat, okay? I have a group chat on GChat, on Google Chat. So, I have a group, and then I tell my team members, let's have a brainstorming session at around 4 p.m. All right. Let's share our ideas here. So I can go to my Jamboard, send a link to the group chat. All right. I'm just giving you a practical example. Send a link to the group chat and I tell them we have a brainstorming session at 4 p.m. Please join my Jamboard with this link. All right. So at 4 p.m., they all click on that link and they join my Jamboard. All right. It has different features. So there's a pen where they can write, you know what? Let's get started with this and this. All right. So there's also sticky notes. If there's something that we need to note, they can put sticky notes on the Jamboard. And as they are doing that, remember we talked about cloud computing. It's online. So whatever change they make, if someone clicks on the sticky note and they make a note there, I'm able to see it immediately. They're doing it. It's live. I'm able to see it real time. All right. So it also helps to save time. If the brainstorming session is for 30 minutes or if it's for 1 hour, everyone inputs their comment there. And then later on, I can sit down and compile all these ideas. All right. So that's on the Jamboard if you're looking at brainstorming session. And then there's the Google Drive. I want to store my documents, and you can arrange your documents into folders, right? So you're also able to stay organized. So there's the Google Drive. And then depending on the folder that I have, if I want Sisi to have access to a specific folder, not all the folders, I can only give her access to that folder. If I want Sisi to have access to only one file, I can only give her access to that one file. So that also takes us back to security, all right? And it also takes us back to ensuring collaboration. So now, so long as maybe you're the owner of a business, all right? So you need to keep track of everything going on in your business. So obviously there's a folder you have for financials, there's a folder you have for marketing, there's a folder you have for operations, all right? The operations manager has access to the operations folder. So they're putting all the documents there. You have another folder for company documents, all right? So each person has access to only the folder that they are entitled with. All right, do you understand? So that's on storing your documents, that's on security, that's on being able to collaborate together. So every time I don't have to send out emails with attachments, right, with I don't know receipts and what. So long as my finance manager has access to my finance folder, once I upload them, he can always access that there. All right. And then on making suggestions, let's go back to the presentation that we were supposed to present to our board members. All right. So I made my presentation on slides, on Google Slides. Okay. And then the slide where I have the financials, I go to my finance manager to come and look at that slide for me. All right. And then they can always make changes. I can see the changes that they made. All right. Then maybe I try because I want it to look nicely done. So I go to my graphics designer and I tell them, I've created this presentation, but I'm not sure, I'm not good with the design. So can you look at it? So they can come look at my presentation. They tell me, Beryl, so you can see some of the comments that are on the left. So they can always tag me, Beryl, make this text bigger or change these colors. These are not our brand colors, all right? I'm able to see their comments and ideas and suggestions. And once I'm able to do that, I can mark their comment as resolved. So when they come back, they can see this is what I suggested to Beryl. It's resolved. So let's move on. What other thing did I suggest? It's been done. Let's move on. All right. And then on tracking changes, remember I said you're able to track you're able to track what has happened. If I go to a folder, all right, and maybe Judith is the only person who had access to that folder, and then one document is missing, I'm able to track, all right? If they uploaded a document and worked on that document, it will tell me last updated yesterday at this time by Judith. So I'm able to see what Judith did, any edits that were made, I'm able to see, all right? Judith leaves my organization. I can remove her access to that folder. All right. So that's also on restricting access. I hope we are all on the same page up to that point and we've all understood everything. Yes, thank you so much, Cici and Sarah. So in terms of increasing collaboration, Cici says Gmail and Meet, and Sarah says Google Meet. All right. So, but those were for communication. And then for sorry, for collaboration, we've looked at Jamboard, Google Slides, Google Docs. You can also use Google Sheets. Do you understand? To improve collaboration within your business. So the last pause for questions. Are there any questions? This is the last part. Any questions so far? Thank you so much, Kevin. Any question? If there's no question, please indicate no question. And I hope that you have filled in the attendance form. Judith, Please, Judith, please post the attendance form. Please post the attendance form. All right. So make sure you fill in the attendance form, input your correct name that you would want to appear on your certificate. All right. So Judith, please post the attendance form for everyone to fill in the attendance form. All right. And then remember to sign up for the Google Hustle Academy. The link was shared when you started the class, but it will be shared again. Judith will share the link to the Google Hustle Academy. And then you can also, if you want to self-learn on your own, you feel like, you know what, I need to learn more on digital marketing. I need to learn more on SEO. I need to learn more on SEM. But where do I get the resources for that? You can go to learndigital.withgoogle.com/digital skills/courses, learn on your own at the comfort of your home and still get certified. Do you understand? That's on personal development, right? Remember to follow us on our social media pages, Digital Skills for Africa. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And then Impact Her. You can also follow Impact Her, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. All right. So that's it for today's class. But before we end the class, let me just see your comments. If you liked the session, please say, the session was insightful. If it was terrible, you can tell me, Beryl, please do better next time. The session was terrible. Feedback is appreciated. Remember, we are taking positive criticism. If there are any negative, that's also fine. It will also help in process improvement. Thank you, Judith. Judith has shared the attendance form. Please make sure to fill in the attendance form. Make sure to sign up for the Google Hustle Academy. And if you want to self-learn, you can go to learndigital.withgoogle.com/digital skills/courses. Thank you so much, Judith. Thank you so much, Judith. Thank you, Sandra, for ensuring the session was. And for everyone who took time to attend today's session, congratulations. And I hope to see you next time. We will have our last session next week on Valentine's. So before you go out to get flowers or before you go out for lunch, remember the last session will be on Tuesday.